All right. Hey, everybody. It's been 2 weeks now. What's up? Well, yeah. Today we got a new update, more content. Some of it was spoiled for me. Thank you for that, MC. Anyways, we're going to do the normal loop for content. We're going to check out the event suit. We'll check out the new pilot and the gacha, and then we'll check out Twitter video and alteration for our new gacha suit, as it is a Sokai Fest, so 7-star out of the gate, I'd reckon. Anyway, let's get cracking here, shall we? Exchange Red Planet coin. Now I wonder what the chances are we're gonna get the next Gundam in this line. We'll find out, I guess. 6 alterations. Ugh, lovely. Alright, so we're going to take a look at the Mars 4. This is an alternate attribute, as it is welfare now. Yeah, let's get cracking, starting with the head. Head-mounted Vulcan. No, that's just no. No. Statistically, we're looking at about 2,300 or so shot attack. Okay. Melee, about 1,300 or so. For the melee category, it's actually boasting a relatively decent amount of damage. Shot, not so much. Then again, I assume this is definitely more of a melee suit than a shot suit, all things considered. But even for the melee side, it is a little lacking. Even though it's a welfare. We've seen welfares with very, very beefy melee attack on them. So, yeah. The armor on this suit is stupidly high. The problem is, though... Oh, close combat for computers. Okay, close combat's workable. The problem I personally have with the suit having just high armor, it's great, but you shouldn't be getting hit. It's nice to have an absolute truckload of armor in the scenarios you're getting smacked around, but you shouldn't be getting smacked around. You know? Only 7-star alts matter. Yeah, not true. There are some suits where they may not be 7-star, but the alteration does a lot to a trait that makes it very powerful, or a specific EX skill. So I would look more at 7-star alterations for stats than anything. Because 7-star already has like the highest stat distribution, and alterations push that further. Alterations in general are really good for traits and EX skills, but 7-star in particular for the stats. Yeah, EX skills and traits. Oh boy. Okay. Torso. Shot damage raised 10%, so you're taking 10% extra shot damage. Squad non-EX skill power plus 40%. This effectively refers to all of your neutrals. So this is your basic ranged attack, basic melee attack. Those are going to get a 40% boost. Could be useful depending on your playstyle, what stage of the game you're at. If you're at a relatively early phase of the game where you're not able to spam your EX skills left and right, this will be really good for you. Okay. Statistically on the torso, we're looking at about 1,600 and change melee attack for a torso. That is smoking hot. Shot attack, much more token. 600-700. Okay. Close combat for computers again. The torso has a good amount of melee on it. The head was kind of meh. Arms. All right, let's take a look. You're typically the big melee kahuna, so let's take a look here. Job gauge down, or job gauge increase down 10%, so you're going to be getting your job gauge 10% slower. To me, that's fine. I don't like the job gauge still. I don't like what that whole thing does for the game. Honestly, it could be way better than it currently is. So to me, this isn't even a demerit. This is just a trigger, and I can ignore it. And enemy melee damage plus 25%. So this means they're taking 25% extra melee damage. The way the battle formula works, this is separate from melee damage plus whatever percent, or I guess specifically melee power boosted 40% or 25% or 30, whatever. This does effectively the same thing, but in a different area of the battle formula, so it works out to work much better than just stacking melee power boost. You want some of this as well, enemy melee damage plus. So this is nice to see. Adds a little bit of that flavor. Statistically, we're looking at about 3,700 or so melee attack. Good numbers. And shot attack, again, token, 650, 700, kind of around there. Close combat, 4 computers. Still, the 4 computers tag, I think, is personally just off the table. Close combat, though, very powerful tertiary tag. So it's nice to see it on so many parts. And it's its primary tag. Ooh, high mobility. Spicy. All right. Part traits for the Mars 4 Gundam legs. Shot damage raised 30%, so you're taking 30% more shot damage. That's a big demerit. EX skill cooldown reduced by 20%. That is a huge trade-off, though. That is like the 3rd highest modifier we have for EX skill cooldown reduction, and that's actually the highest we've seen on welfares. This is some spicy stuff right here. Don't get hit, rule number 1, and you're going to benefit great. I guess those beefy armor values matter more now. Nah, they don't. Just don't get hit, man. It's rule 1 of effectively any game is just don't get hit. This one specifically, because if you let the enemy get their EX skills off, it's effectively over. Unless you have crazy iframes, right? Like if the enemy opens up with an Axis and drops it, you better have iframes, buddy, or you're in for a bad time. All right. So the legs, good trait, nice tags. Statistically, we're looking at about 1,600, 1,700 melee attack, which is really good, and like 700 shot, pretty much token. Good stats, great trait, good tags. All right, backpack. Heat Rev Sword. In all caps, mind you. All right. B plus power, D pierce. Quite unfortunately, the description, unleash a 2-bladed barrage, doesn't seem to have any gap close or anything. This is one of those looks really good on paper, but probably not so great in practice kind of deals. I would have to see the animation, because it boils down to a few factors. What is the range of this? So is it a very close to the chest, or does it like reach out and have a wide kind of conal in front of it? Does it spin? What is the area of effect for it? You want to know if it has homing or soft homing. So when you use it, do you actually follow the enemy if they're like moving left or right, or do you just keep going in a straight line from when you started using it? Because that's a big deal. Because if you use it and they dash to the side, are you going to catch them? You also want to make sure that it's something that's not easily interruptible or easy to dodge, because we do have a few skills where you barely move at all during the entire duration of the EX skill, and if you whiff the first part, you just waste the entire EX skill and you're just standing there to target the whole time. Is it easy to interrupt in the fact that if you hit the enemy, is it like a quick to the point EX skill, like a single swing, or is it something where you have like 7 or 8 attacks in it and any interruption will just break it? Because that's also a huge demerit. That's the problem with these skills, is there's a lot of things that could cause it to be really, really bad, and we don't know without seeing the animation. With those legs, trade off a spitball can hit you and likely break off your armor. If 30% extra shot damage is all it takes to kill you, you're effectively dead anyways, because that means the enemy is effectively one-shotting you. Like, even before that modifier came in, if 30% extra is all it takes to kill you, it means you're a 2-shot kill. You are way out of your league. All right. Close combat, high mobility, nice tertiaries. Statistically, ooh, that's a beefy backpack. Then again, I have all of the tags on it. This is where we want to be. Okay. So, yeah, it looks much better for numbers. So we're looking at about 1,500, 1,600 melee attack for a backpack. Good stuff. And then token shot attack about 500 or so, 550 around there. Overall, nice. The EX skill, though, On paper looks good. In practice, probably not great. All right, let's take a look at our Slash Blade. Quick Smash. A- Pierce, C Power. Unfortunately, the C Power on this makes it very replaceable. If it's your first EX skill, not bad. You know, C Power, not going to hit amazingly hard, but the A- Pierce will balance that out. But as you get later on in the game, you kind of want to be looking at B plus kind of power at a minimum. Yeah. So early on, yeah. But as soon as you get past like those early phases of the game, this falls off hard. 2-shot kill better than 1-shot kill, I'd say. That's effectively like not even an argument to make though. That's like, oh yeah, I like my HP not, you know, being a rounding error. Or, you know, just don't get hit in the first place. Just saying. Honestly, the demerit I think is a worth it trade-off. 30% extra shot damage for 20% CDR. That's a lot of CDR. All right, Heat Rev Sword. So, interesting. Oh boy. So, about 3,800 melee attack. This puts it definitely in the top 1% of welfare weapons, but not the best, as we've seen them go higher than this, over 4K. But this is still very, very powerful statistically. As for the trait, when armor is 80% or less, debuff EX skill effect up 22%. This is a flat addition, meaning if you use an EX skill where it says reduce enemy Gunpla's melee defense by 19%, and you have this, you just flat add those two numbers together. You don't even have to think about it. So that'd be what? 19 plus 22, 41. So be 41% debuff. Yeah. Very, very powerful. However, the 80% or less armor is kind of a really bad trigger. It means you are going to be forced to take damage. In most content, you don't want to be taking any damage at all. You're probably not going to be taking damage after a certain point regardless. So yeah, this may have been a valid thing back when we had cost. So you could have started with overcost, reducing all of your armor to 70%. So this would have triggered right off the go. But because you are forced to not do anything and take damage for this to even activate, you're going to get only so much mileage out of this. And 22%, nice, but we do have higher modifiers available with easier triggers than this. So not terrible, not good. All right. And lastly, our Heat Rev Sword Dual Blades. When armor is 80% or less, debuff EX skill. Oh wait, no, we were just looking at that. Right, the Slash Blade was the crappy EX skill. Cool. Nice. Okay. Overall, it does pack a healthy amount of melee attack on it. Nothing like super jaw-dropping or amazing or anything. The EX skill pool leaves a lot to be desired, honestly. The trait pool's okay though, all things considered. It's a alright suit. Again, nothing amazing. Alright, let's take a look at our gacha. Yeah, Jun, I would say arguably, you know, most of the Mars 4 is apart. Nothing really like, oh, you got to get this or anything. Funny how the original dual blades are better than the rework. Usually ends up being the latter. Yeah, except the original version wasn't a welfare. It's kind of the thing, right? Even though this is a reworked edition of the Mars 4, it's a welfare, whereas the original Mars 4 was gacha. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Granted, it was pre-power creep gacha, but yeah. Now, let's take a look at the smuggest lad in the land over here. Kushranada. Okay, well, let's see what we got for us. A long shooter job license, or no, mid shooter job license. Okay. Commander, long range, Interesting tag combination, definitely feeding into the shot attack. Trait. While Commander, buff EX skill effect up 30%. Commander is effectively a staple in shot builds, so you are going to be seeing it if you're running a shot build. The buff EX skill effect up 30%. Again, it's just flat addition, so if you have something that gives you 49% melee attack and you have this triggered, it'll be, 49, 79%, right? So very nice for a not build pilot. Statistically, what are we looking at here? So about 2,600 or so melee attack, which is, I guess, canonically, kind of accurate there. As for shot, we're looking at a much more reserved, like 2,400 or so. Now that's a very interesting number to have. Not only is it lower than its melee attack, but it is considerably lower than what we've seen in a lot of gacha pilots. It's odd when you consider that he is the only one on the banner right now, so you would expect him to excel, to shine even. But those numbers are kind of lame, all things considered. As far as 4-star pilots go, he's up there, but he's not top 10% even. Interesting pilot. Statistically not great. He has a good job license with good word tag. It just works together really well. It's a whole package, but statistically he is kind of limp in that sense. More melee despite shot license reminds me of the old days. Yeah, it's interesting. Are they going to add 7-star pilots? Why a duplicate pilots? I would not be surprised if they start adding 7-star pilots, honestly. All right, so before we get into our beefy amount of alterations, let's take a look at today's Twitter video, which is our Strike Noir. Now, for anyone that hasn't played this game since a very long time ago, the Strike Noir is known for its backpack, at least the welfare version. The backpack is a very powerful magazine EX skill, and it was used a lot. I think it is still used a lot in general, so very, very well-known part. Now let's take a look at our Twitter. I'm going to assume that this suit is more or less effectively the exact same, but we shall see. What are we working with here? Yep, no, the backpack still does the backpack stuff. And I think that is also the same, but the Strike Noir came out so long ago, I honestly don't remember anymore. Regardless, let's take a look at the Strike Noir, shall we? So, starting from the head. Now, I am only looking at this in alteration. I'm not looking at this in the gacha. I'm going to be ignoring the parameters altogether. That's because when you are altering a part, it is more or less safe to assume the numbers are just going to go up. As this is a 7-star suit, it already has insanely high stats. And it is also very safe to assume that it is going to be a power creep suit. With all that in mind, I don't see any reason to look at the parameters. I will be looking at the word tags and the part trait / EX skill, as the part trait / EX skill is always upgraded when it comes to an alteration. Word tags don't change, but I haven't looked at the suit in the gacha yet, so it's only fair. Yes. All right, starting from the head. Trait. While mid-range, relatively easy to do, mid-range is a accessible enough tag available on a lot of parts, and it is nice for shot machines. Initial squad charge plus 20%. This means your initial cooldown is 20% less, so if you have an EX skill that has a 12-second initial, it goes down by a fifth, so you're looking at what, like 9 seconds or whatever. Or less actually, yeah. Don't feel like mathing that hard right now. Anyways, next up. When physical resistance is over 7,000, very easy to do, it's not even a problem. Buff EX skill effect up 40%. Again, this is a flat number, very easy to get this activated. honestly, overall, I'd say pretty solid. Gives you that initial squad CDR, and it gives you a huge boost on buff. So if you have a very powerful buff skill, this can just push it even further. And we know we have some crazy stuff up at like 59%. So this would push up to 99%, almost double, effectively double whatever the buff. Damn nice. There's new animation. The old one was a few shots and a flip sideways. New leg EX. Okay, cool. Hey, Alan. All right. Ace exclusive and mid-range tags. Ace exclusive is one of those staples when it comes to shot builds. So, cool. Mid-range, powerful tertiary. You can use that. Long range, a myriad of different activators there. Mid-range, though, very accessible, so that works great. Okay. The head, pretty okay. Like, for a Sokai welfare, not as much self-boosting as I think we're used to, but okay. Torso. I wonder why they haven't changed the wording on initial cooldown. That should say 20 seconds and not percent. Because if it says initial cooldown minus 20 seconds, yeah, that could break a lot of skills, because that can effectively be 100% initial CDR for most of the skills in the game. Percent at least keeps it consistent. All right, torso. With dual saber category equipped, enemy shooting power reduced by 90%. Oh, okay. When physical damage taken, enemy all power. What? Okay. So, I don't even know what to say about this one. So, with dual saber categories equipped, that's really easy to do. We have a lot of good dual sabers available. Enemy shooting power reduced by 90%. So by just having dual sabers equipped, whether it's physical shot or beam shot, it's just 90% out the window. It's gone. That is crazy. To top that off, if it's physical damage, all power reduced by 90. So what this falls into the category of, if they hit you with physical, so whether it's beam physical or shot physical, 90% out the window. But if it is shot as well, that's another 90% you are looking at 180% damage reduction on physical shot. You're looking at 90% reduction on beam shot, and effectively, yeah, this is crazy actually. Literally, only beam melee comes through. Everything else has a 90% or 180% reduction. That is actually bonkers. Like, this is crazy. Legitimately, you have to approach anyone with this part with beam melee, or they're just reducing almost all of your damage. All right. Well, power creep train, choo choo, all aboard. Never stops. Ace exclusive mid-range. Yep. Good tags. Let's look at the arms. I don't even want to look at that torso anymore. That makes me sick. All right. While mid-range, enemy EX skill damage plus 40%. And while mid-range, enemy EX skill damage plus 50%. What was the point of this? What is the point of this? Jesus Christ. As long as you have mid-range, 90% bonus EX skill damage. There you go. You heard it here. Suit. What the hell? All right. whatever, man. I don't even work here. All right, check out the legs. Beam Rifle Shorty. A- power, D pierce, pocket rocket cooldown. Raise shot attack of your squad by 49% on a 21-second cooldown skill? What the hell is this? What the... Bandai? What the... What the hell? Jesus. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills today, man. Holy crap. So the torso is just straight up, I'm gonna take almost no damage. The arms are, you're gonna take a ton of damage. And this EX skill is, you're gonna take a lot of damage. If it's any consolation, you need to finish the entire animation to buff the squad. Cool, but you know what? Because of the CDR meta, you can just spam it. So you finish it for 49% and just do it again and again and again and again. This is just... I don't even know what to say. Okay, I found a demerit, guys. I found a demerit. For space. That's the worst part of it right there. Terrifying. Horrible. CDR builds won't run it because it's too long. Better run a buff if that's the case. Fast to execute. Sure, I'm not saying this is meta. I'm just saying it's fucking stupid. Pardon my French. Backpack. Alright, let's see what you've done to this. Dual linear guns, A- power, D pierce. So it's effectively a B+ to an A- upgrade. If you alternated the original Strike Noir backpack up to B+ power, this is a step up. Obviously, it's a direct upgrade because it is the exact same thing, just more damage output. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's the same shit. An amazing EX skill for the backpack. Magazine EX skill specifically. Alright, let's check out our Fragger Arch 3-beam blood. When armor is 80% or more, very easy to do. Just start the match and don't be hit instantly. All power boosted by 50%. %, chance of attacks penetrating super armor. Yeah, okay, sure. 50% chance of fact, 1 and 2, your attack's gonna force them to stagger whether they want to or not. Obviously, it doesn't work on the huge bosses or anything, but works on pretty much everything else. Pair this with one of those 45% chance to pen, and there you go. Got yourself a guarantee. Ace exclusive mid-range, cool. I don't really know what to say about the suit besides, like, are you serious? All right, dual beam rifles. These are markedly different than the shorty beam pistols. So, yeah, because you can see in the animation it's playing right now, they're actually like pistols. This is a beam rifle, hence the name, high energy rifle. With twin rifle category equipped, suspicious. It's almost like this is a twin rifle. Initial EX skill charge boosted by 25%. That is an excessively high mod on that. I think the second highest, because I think the highest was 30% that we've seen. So if not the highest, the second highest here. Melee attack down 15%, so you're doing 15% less melee damage, but you don't care about that because this is for a shot machine. Enemy shooting damage plus 35%. So you take 15% more melee, they take 35% more shooting. Honestly, best trade deal in the history of trade deals. Ace exclusive mid-range, okay. And let's take a look at our beam shorties. With technique attribute, easy to do, 5 or more parts that are technique. EX skill cooldown reduced by 23%, second highest mod in the game, booyah. Shot damage raised 10%, so you're taking 10% more shot damage. Initial EX skill charge boosted by 25%. Alright, lots of initial EX skill cooldown reduction, some EX skill. Honestly, yeah, if the requirement wasn't technique attribute and was something different, like ace exclusive or, you know, 5,000 beam resist or something, I think it would have been so much better. But locking that into a technique suit does reduce the overall viability, because now you can't use it on any build. It's pretty much a technique. Oh, you're forced to use a technique build to get the most out of this part. Overall, ridiculous. 3 parts on here are actually bonkers and should be just wholesale removed from the game, but they're here, so hello. All I can say is everyone that is participating in the PvP rat race, have fun, guys. I can't wait to see this get power crept too. For everyone else that's just waiting for their favorites, you the big brain. Ay, ay, ay. All right, let's take a look at our permanent pool. Yeah, when you said 6 altars, I thought you were kind of like yoinking my leg or something. Apparently you weren't. So, we're going to start from the Lightning Gundam, work our way up to the Bear Guy 3. I'm going to be very not happy the whole time. All right, let's get cracking. Starting from the Zapper. Long shooter job. Relatively easy to do. Long shooters are a dime a dozen from the discount bin. Please, Ant, when have I ever lied? You know what? I don't know. Maybe you have lied, and I just can't remember. So you win this time. This time. Long shot attack raised 20%. So as long as you're using a long shooter job, your neutral long shot attack gets raised by 20%. Just to be clear, when it's talking about long shot attack, it does not mean long shooter. It does refer to the distance between you and your opponent. You may have noticed that as you are changing distance from your enemy, your targeting reticle changes. This is based on the weapon type that you're using and the distance between you and your opponent. Some weapons do best close range, like SMGs, some do best at mid range, like beam rifles and bazookas, and some do best at long range, like beam sniper rifles, or I guess sniper rifles in general. When this says long shot attack, this is referring to you are the furthest distance away from the enemy suit while still, you know, not being out of range, or in that long attack range bracket, doing neutral attacks. That's it. It doesn't refer to EX skills at that range. It's not referring to you're up point blank as a long shooter. You can only do neutral attacks from a very specific distance for long shot attack to be your current activation trigger. Very specific use case for this one. With speed attribute, shooting crit rate boosted by 15%. Crit is worthless, thus so is this trait. Moving right along. Torso. With speed attribute, EX skill piercing boosted by 28%. Straightforward enough. You have a speed attributed suit, 5 or more parts are speed. EX skill piercing boosted, that means how much of your opponent's defenses and resistances are ignored when damage calculation is being done. As we still haven't actually got the battle formula reverse engineered or taken out or anything or figured out, the exact overall usefulness of this is unknown. Same with the pierce in the EX skill. We just know higher letter means more ignore, but we don't actually have any tangible numbers for it. So while long range, enemy EX skill damage plus 40%. This is referring to the word tag long range. It's a powerful tertiary available on a lot of parts, not too difficult to activate, and the enemy takes 40% more EX skill damage. Pair that with the EX skill piercing if you're using a speed attribute suit. This is actually a really decent trait combo as long as you meet the requirements. Being able to ignore almost 30% of the enemy's defenses and resistances on top of them taking 40% more damage using the new damage modifier instead of the old one. Good mileage on this. There are better modifiers available, obviously, but for a 4-star pick ticket suit that you can just exchange for and max out instantly effectively if you have the stuff laying around. Not bad, honestly. Like, I'm not bad. He's like Bear Guy BOP. I don't want to see that monstrosity any more than I have to. All right, Lightning Gundam Arms. Pierce, A-. Power, B. Magazine, 11. Okay, so launch rapid fire beam Vulcans. Here's the problem with that, right? So I'd have to see the animation again. It's been a hot minute since the Lightning Gundam came out. But how far do the beams travel? How much do they spread? How many shots are actually fired? These are all important things. If the range is very short, so the beam bullets don't travel very far, it means you have to get close to use it. It kind of loses some of its oomph. If it has spread on it when you fire, it means that you stand to miss some of your bullets. But the last part feeds into that as well. How many shots are actually fired? If it's something that fires, let's say 7 to 8 shots, and they're wild and all over the place, it's completely useless because you may lose out most of your damage. If it fires like 16 shots, let's say, that could be useful if there's like no spread, because that's a lot of impacts. Maybe you have some kind of flat damage boost somewhere, or maybe later on, you know, all shot attacks do 10% more damage or something. That'd be really good for spammy stuff like SMGs, or for a Beam Vulcan like this. There's a lot of factors that take in play. But when it comes to a Magazine EX skill, on paper, safe to assume it's good. A- Pierce, B Power, 11 Magazine, recipe for something good. But it still comes down to how much distance can it travel, what's the spread looking like as it travels, and how many shots are actually fired. How much have to hit for there to be a worth it trade-off versus other Magazine skills. Like the Strike Noir fires 2 shots. They fly across the map. They don't, short distance. This is goes, and they intersect and hit at the same time. So in the scenario that you fire them, you're doing, if even one shot hits, right, you're doing instantly 50% of your full damage. If both hit, 100% of it. Very little margin for error as they fly in a straight line, super quick, right then and there, no despawns. But if you have, let's say, the Strike Noir backpack shooting 16 shots, well, if the enemy moves and they dodge 9 of them, that's a lot of damage lost, right? That's kind of the idea. So, at the end of the day, on paper, this looks really dope. I'd have to check the animation, though. Safe to assume it's pretty good, though. Good numbers. Or letters, I guess. All right. Let's check out the legs. Rapid thrust. I don't even have to look. I know this is bad. Yeah, on paper looks good. A Power, D Pierce. Unfortunately, the animation is just not good. Moving right along. Enemy EX skill damage plus XX means the enemy takes an amount of damage. Okay, so just so you know, as a returning player, and for anyone that may be new that's watching my stream, thanks for the question, by the way, Moisty. It's good to ask questions when you're not sure. The translation is terrible. If it is in the activation trigger area of a trait, so let me just show you here really, so you know for the future how to read them. The top line, while long range or with speed attribute, that's referring to your suit, things that happen to you. This is going to be a demerit or a requirement. Speed attribute, melee damage boosted 10%, so you're taking 10% more damage, whatever. It's a demerit to you. It will never be above. The second line is always meant for your benefit as a player. So in this scenario where it reads enemy EX skill damage plus 10%, they take more damage as it is in the line that gives you the bonuses. Therefore, it's a demerit to them. So that's the way to read EX skills when it has an activation and a actual trait line. The first line, or the first part of it, is the requirement or a demerit unto you. The second part is always going to be a buff unto you or a demerit unto the enemy. That's the way that it's separated and works out. We have yet to see something that is purely a demerit to you as a player. So I don't see that even being a thing, because who the hell would run that part unless there was some crazy benefit to the other trait or something. But yeah, long and short, when it says enemy EX skill damage plus whatever percent, they're taking that much extra damage. And the way that it works in the battle formula, you're probably used to seeing, in your specific example, enemy EX skill damage plus, 10%. You're used to seeing EX skill power plus 10%. This is the exact same thing, but with a worse translation and different wording, but it fits somewhere else in the battle damage formula. So instead of having 5 or 6 traits that are EX skill power boost by 10%, you take a couple of those out and replace it for enemy EX skill damage plus 10%. It works out to do more damage at the end of the day because it sits somewhere else in the battle formula. So you don't want to just stack you can stack a whole bunch of type 1, but you probably want to mix a little bit of type 2 in there just to get more out of it at the end of the day. Don't have to. Yeah. Just looked it up. The arms EX, the shots are straight and fast. Now, is it straight, like permanent cross map, or is there like a set finite short distance to them? Like, is it like a Vulcan where it only travels like maybe, like 10 meters or something? Or is it something that just flies like Strike Noir backpack? Because that's important to use. Power is used as a benefit to the mention. User damage is used as the opposite here. Nah, it's just bad translations, Omar. The game is littered with them, unfortunately, especially in the trait EX skill. And the worst part is, I can't even really get too mad at them. I can get mad at them for sure, because I know why it's like the way it is. So the people that developed this, that set the text boxes for these windows and created this UI, did it in the mind of someone that's working with a language that's much more compact, right? Much more to the point, right? Japanese, Chinese, these languages that can say a lot with very few characters. When you translate it into English, we have to expand it out. But the people that are doing the translation are told effectively, you have this many characters per line, you're gonna have to make it work. And that's what they have. And unfortunately, that has led to some things not being nearly as descriptive or as on point as they could have been, purely because of a limitation put in place, and there's really nothing they can do about it. So it's equal parts I understand, but it's also why. Yeah, I know, Omar. Believe me, I understand. It does make the head hurt. All right, anyways, let's take a look-see. Where do we finish off? We're looking at the legs. We're rapid thrust. We were looking at the backpack. Cool. Missile pod. B pierce, A- power, low cooldown. Fire micro missiles, blah, blah, blah. On paper, looks great. Probably in practice pretty good as well. The B pierce will really feed into that A- power. Okay. Beam rifle. Lightning snipe. A+ pierce, B+ power. Now that's a spicy tamale right there. A+ pierce is very, very powerful. That ignores a hefty chunk of the enemy's defense. Keep in mind, the highest that we've seen skills go up to this point is what? Double S, I think it's, or did we finally get triple S minus? Anyways, A is the cutoff point to S, and S is typically reserved for limited / Sokai. A+ pierce, very, very good to see. B+ power is only going to be increased further due to that amount of piercing. So very, very powerful short cooldown EX skill here. You think they'll do 48-hour banner during Black Friday? Honestly, I have no idea. All I can tell you is, honestly, like from the bottom of my heart, as I've been saying for the last handful of months, if not many, many months, just save your Haro for something that you really, really like. Whether it's your favorite Gunpla, your favorite mobile suit from a TV series, or whether it's just something you look at and go, it really works in my build. Don't roll in fear of FOMO. Don't roll looking at, for example, the Strike Noir and going, I really need that torso, it's super powerful. If you want to meta chase, don't let me stop you. But honestly, at the end of the day, don't join the rat race. Just sit back and you'll have so much extra horror, you won't know what to do with it all. And example, if they do decide to crack out a Black Friday banner or something, you'll have the horror laying around for it, right? Take the game slow. Unless you're trying to race in PvP for the highest rankings, you don't have to roll the gacha, man. You really don't. It's a good backpack. Glad to see it have an upgrade. Personation and missing aerial parts. I have a feeling they're probably going to give us an aerial welfare at some point down the line, perhaps at the culmination of Witch of Mercury. Perhaps they'll add some final suit to the gacha or something, and then they'll add aerial as a welfare, because we've had that before where they give us the welfare version as well as a gacha version for a suit. Yeah, hold on. I appear to have obtained a splinter in my foot. Okay. Ow. That was unpleasant. My chair, because the floorboards that I'm on, we notice in the kitchen, the floorboards, when you step in certain places, the floor isn't like perfectly even, so it kind of sinks here and there, and we're afraid of because it's like a fake laminate, we're afraid of it snapping. So in the room here, my back room where I'm at, because I spend a lot of time in front of the computer, there's a wooden disc that we've mounted the chair onto to spread the weight point. So instead of having 4 wheels pushing down into the fake laminate, we have just a big surface area pad, right? So because of that, sometimes when I swing my feet around for comfort and stretching the legs a little bit, they'll touch the wood. The wood is not polished. It's or smoothed even. It's just a piece of wood chopped out from a slightly thick piece of plywood. But it works. But splinters aplenty. All right. The chest is really tempting. It is, honestly. The Strike Noir chest is very powerful, and I honestly can't fault people for looking at it and wanting to get it. It is a ridiculous amount of damage reduction, and it effectively only opens you up to taking damage from beam melee attacks. Everything else gets a fat reduction applied onto it, and that just stacks further with any other reduction traits you may have on other parts. It is really, really powerful, but at the same time, you don't need it unless you're trying to get really high up in PvP or you're taking a ton of damage or something. For regular gameplay, it is just so unnecessary. All right. Did you roll on Ariel last week? No. So I have been watching Witch from Mercury. I am enjoying it quite a bit. I've enjoyed the plot twist. But I'm gonna wait. And the reason I'm gonna wait is up until this point, effectively every Gundam series released in the last short hot minute, the primary antagonist, or the protagonist suit, gets some kind of upgrade, or they get a new suit near the end of the series that's cooler and just better. So as nice as the Ariel is, as sleek as it is, as, you know, really interesting as it is, I'm gonna wait, and I'm gonna see what the end series suit looks like. If it looks really, really dope, I have zero doubt they're gonna add it into this game, and maybe then I'll roll. And if it's not, and it's the same suit, cool. I'll just wait for a rerun or something, or maybe I'll wait for a welfare variant and just get that for the aesthetics. I play the game very casually. I'm not here to race, because I learned very quickly you don't want to race in the PvP for this game. It is not. Oof. It's probably coincidence, but the Strike Noir could have been added because Stargazer is being made available to watch on Gundam Info. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. At the same time, we haven't seen Strike Noir. It got its original version added within the first handful of months of the game's release. And since then, really, all we saw was the Stargazer. That was it. Just the Strike Noir and the Stargazer. We haven't seen Blue Duel. We haven't seen Verd Buster. None of these other suits from the series, which is a real shame, frankly. I'm still sad we don't have the Calamity or the Forbidden in this, because those are really cool suits. So what it really comes down to is it could be a myriad reasons. Your reason may be correct. It may be because they threw a dart at the board and it hit Strike Noir for this week, and they're like, all right, cool, let's recycle the models and start throwing darts for the traits. No idea. So any guess is as good as any. I'd say yours sounds pretty rational, honestly. So yeah. Anyways, moving along here, because I do want to eventually look at bed. It is almost midnight. Beam rifle with long range, EX skill power boost by 30%. With long range enemy, EX skill power boost by 30%. So that restricts this hardcore. It means your enemy has to have the long range suit. It has to be the one you're targeting as well, mind you, for your EX skill power to be boosted by this number. If you're doing an arena match and the guy has 3 suits running at you and only one of them has long range, if you're not locked onto him, this will not activate. You have to be locked onto that one. So good luck. With speed attribute, enemy all power reduced 30%. Speed attribute is pretty easy to get your hands on. The all power reduction is pretty convenient. Yeah, again, only really works on what you're targeting though. So mileage may vary. Bed? No, we got FGO live stream. The FGO live stream is still like hours away, Mana. I need to sleep. Okay, I don't need to sleep. My sleep schedule has been absolutely wonk the last few days. I've been going to bed at like 6, 7 a.m. and then waking up at 10, so. But anyways. Would love to see Blue Dual Verd Buster next week as a 4-star. I would love to see Calamity. As far as mobile suits go, I like the design. I like what it was going for. And it definitely has nothing to do with the fact that it's effectively a baby Destroy Gundam. Because I definitely don't like the Destroy Gundam, guys. Don't get me wrong here. I just like the Calamity. Alright. Anyways, beam rifle. It has a lot of prerequisites to actually be used. And lastly, our shield. With speed attribute, debuff EX skill effect up 22%. We've already talked about how this works. And with speed attribute, debuff EX skill time up 40%. So this is just increasing the duration of a debuff by 40%. At the end of the day, if you hit the enemy with a debuff and you're not able to kill them in the allotted time, typically it's anywhere from like, 20 seconds to 45, if not higher for a debuff. Honestly, this time up's not going to help you. Let's be real. You got to address other issues. It's nice that this does feed into itself, where as long as your speed attribute, the debuff effect is boosted and the duration is boosted. This is like a status affliction shield. However, again, really, the time up, as nice as that number is, shouldn't need it. Okay, so what are we playing with here? Next we're going on to the Tryon. High Mega Cannon, A Pierce, B plus power. Okay, yeah. Again, on paper, it looks really good. A Pierce will ignore a significant chunk of the defense and resistances, and B plus power hits damn hard. In practice, the cooldowns are a little funky on this one. It being 60 base, 15 norm. So this will boil down to what's its effective range, what is the startup time, are there iframes, all sorts of things to go with this, but on paper looks good. Jirobi, yeah, the straight beam. But how long is the windup for it? Can the enemies move during the windup for it? How many hits are in it? Is it just one and done, or is it multiple? What's the duration? There's so many things to take into effect with this kind of skill. If it was a pocket rocket, it'd be like a quick, like done, right? But as it has a significant cooldown attached to it, it's a little more involved. So on paper, looks good. That's all it comes down to, really. Torso. Hyper Manovsky Chokin Trizen. Yay! Oh yeah, this is that stupidly long one where it like summons the sword in the middle of the storm, right? Restrain enemies, blah blah blah. Raise melee attack to your squad by 49%. S power, D pierce. Yeah. So this was one of the longest bindable EX skills in the entire game. It has a very long animation attached to it. It's very flashy. If you like this mobile suit, you'll probably enjoy the animation quite a bit, especially with the new buffs added onto it. The melee attack buff being 49% is also very powerful. That's the third highest version of that. The only other we see are on like Sokai and Limited, so seeing this on a base pick ticket suit, nice. All right. Arms. Armed booster. D Pierce, A- power. It's a rocket fist. You know what it looks like, guys. It's a rocket punch. Come on. On paper, looks great. Raptor Breakcore. B Pierce, A- power. So again, on paper, looks really good. Low cooldown. Unleash a pulverizing kick. Crush your enemy with your blah blah blah. Excuse me. And lowers enemy Gunpla melee attack by 29%. Unless I'm mistaken, this is the one that has a very close range EX skill where you have to get up close to actually hit them with it. As it's not a bindable skill, and it doesn't say anything about dashing at them or closing the gap. It is a grab skill like the Destiny arms. Okay, so you do a gap closer on it and then you hit them with it. So that's good. That does salvage a little bit of it. However, it will be interruptible. The stats on it look nice though. B Pierce, A- power. Yeah, it's okay. Back. Double Cannonade. I could go for Lemonade right now. B plus Pierce, B plus power, medium cooldown. Fire long range beams from the cannon on your back. Okay. So much like the Torso Jirobi, I guess. Okay. Looks okay. Looks okay to me. The targeted enemy can't attack you since they're immobilized for the duration. Sure, but that counts on you actually getting to them without being interrupted by them, right? And that's kind of the pickle here. All right, Hyper Minovsky Trohokin. While Transformer, initial EX skill charge boosted by 20%. Transformer is a relatively accessible word tag. It is available on a good amount of parts. How many of those are considered really good parts, though? Up for debate, I guess. The initial EX skill charge boost at 20% solid, though, so cool beans. And while heavy armor, again, a not so common tag, but still very much available and easy to get. Enemy all damage plus 50%. So, as was mentioned by Moisty earlier, so what it's saying here is while you are heavy armor, so you have the heavy armor tag active, because that's the first line. The second line, enemy all damage plus 50%, they take 50% more damage from all damage sources. So this is effectively an all power boost of 50%, just with different wording on it. Ask Bandai. Okay. And lastly, the Hyper Beam Saber with power attribute, strong melee crit rate boosted by 30%. Okay, crit, unfortunately, still worthless. With power attribute, enemy strong melee damage plus 50%. Strong melee refers to the last powerful attack of a neutral melee combo. If you're running an infighter or a outfighter job license, if you dash at the enemy and do your neutral melee attack, you just open right up into a strong melee attack. However, it should be kept in mind that only this last attack gets any boost whatsoever, so really depends on your play style, but I don't see a lot of people getting mileage out of this one. Okay. Let's take a look at our Stray Red Frame. Which version are you? Custom. Okay. With Technique Attribute, enemy shooting power reduced by 30%, and Infighter Job initial EX skill charge boosted by 20%. Excuse me. So that first trait, honestly, it's okay. The second trait's really nice, but unfortunately paired with that first trait kind of falls off. Because Infighter's super easy to get, and the initial EX skill charge boost is really good to have, but the first trait really just makes you invest all this for that singular second trait, so don't know how much it's worth there. Torso, In-fighter job, strong melee power boosted by 30%. Again, strong melee referring to that final attack in a melee combo and nothing else. Not really great returns. With dual saber category equipped, enemy melee damage plus 35%. Okay, so with your dual sabers, the enemy takes 35% more melee damage. We have a good amount of dual sabers available, so this ain't terrible. But that first trait is still kind of a real meh. Second trait's nice though. For a 4-star pick ticket suit specifically. Arms. When armor's 80% or less, melee crit rate boost, crit, ignore it. While pro tag, revive with 50% armor one time. It's a gut skill. Honestly, I don't like gut skills. I don't think you should ever really need them or have to trigger them. It is there, it is available, but honestly, you shouldn't need it. Gerber Straight Tiger Pierce. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I remember when this sword was like the thing. Was it this specific version of it too? No, it was the other Gerber Straight Tiger Pierce because it had a good trait combo that people wanted on top of the word tags. So this was the clone of it that came out and was not as good. Anyways, B plus Pierce, B plus Power, very low cooldown. On paper, sounds really good. In practice, pretty sure this is one of the ones with the really crappy animations attached to it. Oh yeah, this is the legs. Don't mind me. See, this is what happens when we start approaching 12 a.m. I start going loopy. I'm always loopy. But anyways, yeah, overall, the EX skill, probably not that great if I remember what the animation does based on the wording and everything. Yeah. A stray red frame backpack. Tactical arms 2L. D Pierce, A power, low cooldown. Again, on paper, looks really good. I'd have to see the animation, however. I don't know if this is a gap close or if it's just a, cold stop attack. In the scenario that it actually has a gap closer, that A power is going to be really nice. In the scenario that it's not, and it's all about your spacing, I wouldn't use this with a 10-foot pole. Okay, and lastly, our actual Gerber Straight Tiger Pierce swords. Yeah, okay. Pro tag, close combat, while pro tag initial EX skill charge boosted by 20%, solid, and then 26% chance of attacks penetrating super armor. Super armor, we all know what that is, a 1 in 4 chance of your attacks penetrating it, not the best, but for a 4-star pick ticket part, oh yeah. Pro tag, close combat tags, all that, yeah. Honestly, it's okay. That's what it comes down to. It's just been outdone by a lot of other parts. Okay. Dreadnought. I need to actually grab something to drink. My mouth is dry as the desert. I will be back in a moment here. Ah, there's my camera. Give me just a second, lads. TRB. Alrighty, back to what we were doing, which is looking at the Dreadnought. Anyone still having multi-matches crashing on them? I've heard that that's just been a recurring issue. As far as I'm aware, Bandai knows about it, and that about sums up my knowledge of the situation. Alright, Dreadnought Gundam Head. Long shooter job, shooting damage taken reduced by 20. Flat, not really great. While ace exclusive, 33% chance to not recoil. Honestly, not feeling it. Torso. When armor is 80% or less, EX skill damage output boosted by a flat number. No. When armor is 60% or less, shooting power boosted by 40%. No. 60% or less? Holy crap. With technique attribute, enemy special shot power reduced by 25%. Special shot is only usable by long shooter and mid shooter job licenses. It's when you hold down the shot attack, and depending on the weapon you're using, something different will happen. For example, if you're using a bazooka, you'll just charge up a much more powerful shot, fire it. If you're using a beam rifle, you'll pull back, do the wing Gundam pose, and just fire a big old beam. If you're using an SMG, I don't think anything special happens. I'm pretty sure you just dump your magazine. But anyways, that's the point of a special shot. That's the only thing that'll get reduced by this. For 15 seconds after being attacked with an EX skill, enemy all power reduced by 70%. Unfortunately, if you're getting hit with an EX skill, chances are you're probably going to be dead. But in the scenario that you somehow survive, this will probably not help you survive round 2. All right, legs. Christus Beam Reamer. A pierce, beam minus power, low cooldown, and you just fire a beam from your waist. Cool. On paper, looks really good. In practice, purely does boil down to the animation. Backpack Dragoon system, A+ pierce, B+ power, and it just launches off your backpack and goes. Quite unfortunately, beam shot Dragoons in this game are still currently absolutely worthless in the grand scheme of things. Unfortunately, the amount of damage your beam shot Dragoon or bit system will do is based purely on the amount of actual bits, funnels, whatever your flavor of text is that you actually launch out. They fire on a fixed interval. So if you have, for example, in this case, 4, it's going to do 4 shots, fly around for a little bit, do another 4 shots, and so on. Versus something like the Kshatriya, which has like, what, 14 bits. It'll do 14 shots, fly around, do another 14. Now you may think, but is it not scaled for those shots? No, no, it is not. And that is the problem. The Kshatriya will do more damage because of how many bits it has. The Dreadnought Gundam, in turn, will do significantly less. Still not fixed. Day 1 issue. Yeah, the melee funnels or bits, for example, the Moon Gundam backpack, don't suffer from this issue. They just absolutely slap. It is only the beam shot funnels that do. So 4 funnels. If you really like this mobile suit, feel free to use it. Honestly, this just boils down to how much worth you want to get out of your EX skills. But if you're doing this because you just love the Dreadnought, it'll work. It'll do the job. That's all that really matters. Damage is scaled, interval between shots isn't. So that's the problem, Anna, is when I use, for example, the new Verka backpack that has the, 6 funnels on it, it does less damage than the Kshatriya bits do per burst. And that's what the issue is if it was scaled properly, it should do X damage divided by number of bits. But it doesn't seem to actually do that, which is the problem. The Kshatriya bits will do more damage because of how many there are versus the Dreadnought. So even though it should be scaled, then it should do 1,000 damage divided by 4, and then 1,000 damage divided by 12, 14, 16, whatever, it doesn't. Legs are A-OK, Pocket Rocket. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you. Some EXs have more damage under the table, to be fair. But that's the problem, Anna, is there's no way to tell any of this with the system they have in place. The best we have is guesses and assumptions based on what we've seen, but there's no hard numbers. No one's reverse engineered the battle formula. Bandai refuses to elaborate on the like they literally show up and go S power and they just walk away and that's it. And it's like, all right, cool, but why does this skill with S power and that skill with S power do completely different amounts of damage? Yeah. Bandai, it's not an answer. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Bandai. Love you. So, end of the day, though. When it comes to beam dragoon or beam shot funnels, bits, whatever, you want more. That's all it really comes down to. It's a shame, honestly. Funnels are really cool because they ignore terrain and they're like a tactical nightmare to deal with. But because most of them are just neutered, they're just not much of a threat. Okay, moving along here to the beam rifle. Long shooter job, enemy EX skill power reduced by 25%. It's very straightforward, I shouldn't have to explain that. While mid-range, boost funnel uptime by 60%. Now, here's another issue that I have with how people are going about making funnels worth more. Funnel uptime boost. Let me just explain something really quick here in terms of a pure numbers game. Again, this is irrelevant in the grand scheme of things because you don't need to min-max to do well in this game. But for people that care just a little bit, when you launch a funnel system, for example, the Dragoon system for this mobile suit, and you got your 4 funnels and you're doing, let's say, nerfed damage compared to the Kshatriya's bits, okay? Let's use this as just a running example. You go, but if I make my funnels last longer, they'll do the same damage output as the Kshatriya. I mean, you're right, but put this into perspective. Instead of your funnels taking 15 seconds to do the damage and coming back, they're now taking 24 to 25 seconds, and then they go on cooldown. In the time it took you to do that, you could have used some of the longest animation skills in the entire game, done more damage than your bits were ever going to do in the first place, and gotten a buff out of it. I'm not saying you're wrong for using a funnel uptime trait to get your funnels out there for longer, because you're right, in the long run they do more damage. But in terms of time, do you want your match to run a minute or like 15 seconds? All right, and the shield. Composite armed shield system. D Pierce B Power 11 magazine. On paper, sounds really good. In practice, I can't see the animation, but I'm going to make an assumption it's probably pretty good. So, cool. Good job, Dreadnought. You're a thing. You exist. And now, the horror. Bear Guy 3. You listen closely, you can hear final boss music. Cotton, B plus power, D pierce. Expel cotton in your body from your mouth because, as you know, all connoisseurs of Gunpla stuff cotton into their plastic frames. Entangling hit enemies for a set period of time. So this does damage. It does a entanglement, bind, slow debuff. At the end of the day, mileage may vary. It's what it comes down to. I wouldn't use it. All right, torso integrated with legs. I believe the head was integrated with the torso. Oh, no. Head is on its own. Torso is integrated with legs and then arms and backpack. Anyways, integrated. While amphibious, shooting power boosted by 25%. So we have amphibious as a tag. It does exist. It is extremely rare, and it has exactly 4 or 5 traits in the game that it activates. Only 2 of them are actually good. With that in mind, using amphibious as your tertiary tag slot is kind of a colossal waste at the end of the day. With that in mind, a 25% shoot power boost, acceptable. The amphibious tag, though, gonna be kind of hard pressed to, get people in on board on that one. That's a tag with some baggage. Atlas Gundam. All right, and with technique attribute, EX skill cooldown reduced by 20%. That's a solid cooldown for a 4-star pick ticket suit. It is technique attribute restricted, however, so it does obviously limit what you're able to use it on, but as this part counts for 2 parts of technique in and of itself, maybe you'll find some use out of it. At the end of the day, though, needing amphibious really gimps like any interest. Stun. So I list everything except stun, and that's the one that I got wrong. Eh? Man, my mouth is really dry. Okay. Yeah. I slept in really hard this morning. Like 35, 45 minutes longer than I normally do. And I woke up with like the worst case of cotton mouth I think I've ever had in my life. Like my mouth was almost like super glued together. I had to fight to get my mouth to open a little bit so I could like wet the outside of my mouth open. It was brutal this morning, man. Felt like, you guys have probably seen the meme where that guy's like super groggy, waking up, a bright light flashing in his face in like a pitch black room, and he just looks so out of sorts. That was me, except worse. All right, arms. A- Pierce, C power, 11 magazine. Unfortunately, as this is only C power, this does heavily restrict the amount of usefulness that it has. You have to keep in mind, typically we want to see at least a B power on a magazine to really get the oomph needed for it. However, C is still workable. It's just you're not going to probably want to carry that too far into the game just because of the availability of other magazine EX skills on other parts that start like B power or even B plus. So workable, usable, overall gonna fall off. From now on, welfare's on rerun as well as standards for coin bonus of alteration. Aren't you happy we can go back to old alter schedule, 4 alters every new event? Why? Alright, well, let's finish up this suffering. Backpack. Supporter job class shot attack, or close shot attack raised 14%. So what this is referring to, again, much like long shot, is the distance between you and your opponent. This will require you to get up real close and personal with your opponent for close shot to be activated. Unfortunately, a 14% boost is not really that useful, especially on just neutrals. And while support type, word tag, all enemy cooldown time up 25%. Now that's not terrible. That is something I could see you slapping onto one of your secondary suits in arena just to make your opponents have a little bit extra CDR. But overall, we have higher modifiers out there. Not as accessible, I guess, but I wouldn't. Overall, so between those suits, between these 5 suits, there are some that got like really nice stuff added to them or good upgrades, and some of them not so much. So it's really a mix and match grab bag, unfortunately. Shame. All right. Well, with that, gang, I believe we've wrapped up, gone over all the new content, seen everything there is to see, alternate all the stuff that needs to be alternated. Life is great. With that, I'm going to wrap up and head out. For anyone that is interested, there is an FGO stream later on. I may do a restream for that if I'm awake. Probably will be, knowing me these days. So if you want to hang out and just kind of see what's up, go for it. I don't know what to expect with this stream at all, other than what they were showing on the Chaldea radio broadcast, which is a new servant, so that'll be interesting. Anyways, hey, did you want to look at premium mats? Premium mats, what's going on in that department? You know, it's been so long since I actually looked at premium mats, my brain can't remember where they're placed. But it is here, is it not? The build project material? No name is up for exchange. You can get the whole suit with just this. See, that would be really nice, except the no name is falling off with all this power creep. So it's kind of just like not even... Yeah. Sumo came back for coin. Oh, nice. I still remember like the original days of this game, the builds we had to come up with, because we didn't have sub-slotting, right, with all the extra trades. There weren't alterations. Right, everything had like a one part trade on it, so it was a real game. Man, those are the days. It's a cool cosmetic though. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying I don't know if it's worth it. Wait for the welfare edition, you know. Anyways, I'm gonna head out, guys. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out as always. For Gundam stuff, you'll either see me between now and 2 weeks from now if something really cool drops, you know, like an emergency thing or something. Other than that, I'll be here for the next 2 week, you know, like event thing dropping down, like what we did here. Beyond that, like I said, FGO, I'll probably be restreaming that, because that's going to be in a handful of hours from now. Beyond that, yeah, I guess outside of this stuff, a few pieces of news. So if you were just here for the Gundam stuff, you can yippee-ki-yay on out of here. If you just want to hang out for a few extra minutes and talk, we'll do that now. So don't know how many of you guys picked it up, but I picked up Harvestella, and I have been playing a lot of it. Let's see, how many hours have I logged in that game since it released? I have logged 34 hours in Harvestella since it released on Friday. I didn't even turn it on today. That was like just the weekend, effectively. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's 34 hours. If anyone wants to hear about my experience, feel free to ask. Otherwise, I'll just say I've had a ton of fun with it. I went in expecting effectively Rune Factory with a new coat of paint, and that's effectively what I got. Lots of fun, enjoyable. The story was good enough, but full of tropes, obviously. Beyond that, I had a couple of friends try super hard to get me into Nike, whatever, that mobile game with the very, very not safe for work content in it. Yeah, I got bored within, I think, 30 minutes. The combat was shallow at best. It's like I went in hoping I would get kind of a Time Crisis experience. I don't know if any of you guys hit up arcades with Time Crisis in them, but that on-rails shooter experience. I enjoyed that, and I was kind of hoping sort of what we would get here. It was not. It was okay at best. Yeah, and the fan service was also mediocre. For as much as it was touting what it was trying to accomplish and everyone like hyping up the not safe for work side of it, it was very tame to what I was expecting. So yeah, mediocre there. I've been playing a lot more Tower of Fantasy with my friend. Yeah, the new Vera content, so much fun. I really like Muroria. That's such a beautiful city. Even though it's obviously very limited in scope because of what it is. Mobile game first. It was still lots of fun. And beyond that, let's see, anything else really cool? I think that was really it. Yeah, that about sums it up. At this point, I'm just playing, or looking to finish Harvestella. Waiting for new mobile games, effectively. Something interesting, hopefully, to come out. Some English translations for stuff. Like, I want to try ETE Chronicle, but I want to wait for an English translation because I don't want to start playing the Japanese version, get super invested into it, and then have an English version drop because I want to be able to understand the menus and stuff like that and the different items and equipment without having to refer to a wiki that's barely maintained. So, yeah. I don't like the progression because it's locked by time. You can pay to get the XP mat. It's been a way to grind except by leaving the game alone. So, yeah, man, there was other issues I had with the game besides progression. It felt like a very hollow echo of what I was expecting it to be, and it didn't really hit even like the minimum for enjoyable. The graphics were high quality, the L2D was high quality, but overall the game just felt cheap, low effort. And the actual content, the actual gameplay, meh. Have you been playing Evo? So I've on and off been playing Evo with my group. Honestly, I found a lot of them have been just kind of getting bored with it. It's getting in their words, stale, because there's really nothing new being added to it. It's just the same shit day in and day out, and I understand that, and I do hope that they start adding more stuff to mix it up. I personally would hope for more game types. I would hope for more mobile suits to be added, some new maps to mix it up all at once would be great. I really want them to change the battle pass personally. I feel like as it is right now in Evolution, the battle pass is very not predatory, but it doesn't feel, to me, it doesn't feel rewarding. I think that's the best way to put it. As someone that didn't buy the battle pass, I only get rewards every handful of levels, and they're kind of mediocre rewards. Whereas, you know, you'd pay a good amount of money. But I look at other games I've played, like Apex, for example, right? Almost every level, you're getting something for that. Every time your account levels, you're working towards unlocking something. But with Evolution, your actual account level doesn't give you anything other than unlocking ranked. Whoop-de-doo. And the battle pass feels very anemic for people that don't pay. And I feel like you should get stuff for ranking up your account, and there should be more stuff available for free to play in the battle pass. But that's just my opinion on it, right? I've just played different games that have different structures on it. So their approach isn't inherently bad. I just feel personally it doesn't work for me. So I play it purely with my friends, not really for progression anymore. So it's basically Azure Lane with guns. No. So Azure Lane is much more straightforward. They focus on the home screen art. They focus on the costumes. That's their draw. With Nike, whatever, that game is 50% home screen, 50% combat. Their big thing is you can play the game one-handed. And yes, it's exactly what they were aiming for. The problem is a lot of the L2D art when you're in battle, the characters are obfuscated whether by their outfits or really long hair or backpacks or other objects or stuff, right? So like half of the character cast, most of the appeal out the window right there, right? You can only really enjoy them on your home screen, but you can only have one character on your home screen at a time, and you're limited to how you can interact with them to begin with. Granted, the L2D is high quality, but meh. Azure Lane is just straight up like, yeah, here's the home screen, here's all your interaction, have fun. The combat is chibis, the dorm room is chibis, they don't care, right? But Nikki was all about, you know, hey, look at the home screen, look at the battle, haha, so NSFW, look at us guys, we're appealing to the Coomers. Great, except you did a half-assed job somehow. Literally and metaphorically, a half-assed job. Tis, give me an award. It's sad, honestly. Azure Lane is bloated by a lot more systems, a lot more currency, and a lot more mechanics due to its age. Nike, whatever, much more straightforward and simplistic currently, but because of its absolute dilution of the SSR pool, they've run into a Grand Blue Fantasy problem on launch, where when you get an SSR, the chance of it actually being what you want is so unbelievably minuscule, may as well not even like care in the first place. Grand Blue fixed this by having a lot of the specific character rate ups, making sure that they have subtixes, which is only such a viable strategy, but they do have like those guaranteed SSR you haven't gotten before kind of tickets and stuff, which helps a lot. But at launch, you should not have more SSRs than all your other rarities combined. That's just stupid. Like, they have that system in place where after your 40 multis, your first 40 multis, you can pick 5 from different factions to put into the pool so that you have a 15 character pool to draw from, but that's not guaranteed. They just have a rate up. You don't actually get to, like, I wanted to start with 1 or 2 characters, but the SSR pool is like 45 characters. And one of them isn't even in that boosted rate up after you've done 40 rolls. They're just not in there because their faction's not part of it. So, like, they shot themselves in the foot with the amount of SSRs that they put in off the launch. Like, that's pretty much it. Pilgrims are super powerful units. Yeah, but the problem is, Mana, They have way too many SSRs in the pool, and they don't have all of these launch SSRs available through this wish system, and they don't explain that certain units are more powerful than others, and that's why they're not in there. That's a lot of the issues I have with just the gacha in that game alone. That doesn't carry over to the issues I have with the simplistic combat. It doesn't carry over to the issues I have with progression or any of these other things. I'm not saying the game itself is bad. Maybe it's up your alley. Maybe it is exactly what you've been looking for in a game, and power to it. But from a personal point of view, I found it to be almost lackluster in every single category that it approached as a mobile game. And that is really sad to see. Like, how do you fuck up an on-rails shooter? How do you manage to make that genre worse than it was 15 years ago in the arcade? I don't understand how you managed it, but you did. And the worst part is, you would think a touchscreen mobile would make it perfect for that genre, but they fucked it up. Here's what it is. I get this feeling they're just gonna add more SSRs and nothing else because they only have 9 SRs and 9 Rs. Yeah, and that's what I said. The SSR pool is too diluted. You're never gonna get the unit that you want unless you're unbelievably lucky. But that's not how a launch should be. I don't know if you remember this or not, but back when I looked at Tales of Crestoria, rest in peace, I was super excited about the fact you got to pick a character you started with. To me, that is like the standard to see going forward. I should be able, within a group of your launch units, be able to pick a character to start with. Because that makes me not have to sit there and waste my time re-rolling. You want me to play your game? Cool. Don't put 100 hurdles in front of me and go, oh yeah, you just got to keep going, man. Eventually get over all the hurdles. You want me to play your game? I am not paying you to play this game. You make my life easier. I'm just not going to play your game. And that's exactly what happened with a lot of the mobile games recently. They're all just like, oh yeah, just re-roll, man. Just, delete your account, re-download the game, re-roll over and over and over. No, I have self-respect and dignity. I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry. Really makes me appreciate PGR all the more. Yeah, PGR to me is effectively the golden standard for how to run a gacha game. You play the game, you get all the characters. That's it. You want to make your character stronger, then you can use a little bit of the extra currency that you have in between patches to roll their weapon. Or get a cub for them if you really feel like it. You want to spend a few dollars a month supporting the game? Go for it. The extra black cards you get will secure you the weapon. If not more. You want to buy a really cool costume? Sure, just upfront payment. The only time that we've ever had gacha skins are for skins that are okay. I'm not going to say they're bad. I'm not going to say really anything about them because I have them. However, at the same time, if I didn't have them, I wouldn't care. Like Alpha. Oh yeah, you don't have her, the kimono outfit that was only available through this fucking paid gacha pool? Okay, cool. She has a swimsuit one that was like part of another event, and it also changes all the animations and the effects and stuff. So if you didn't get the kimono one, you got that one as an alternative if you want something different. You really wanted the kimono one? Wait for a rerun and pay for it then. Even then, it's not like it's a crazy asking price. It's obviously terrible that not all costumes are free, but they're optional costumes and cosmetics. And I think that's the important takeaway here. Right? Azure Lane is a collector game. Girls Frontline is a collector game. Can Call is a collector game. Lots of collector games, and they don't fall under the same purview as something like PGR. They don't fall under the same purview as something like FGO, because those aren't collector games. Okay, FGO is effectively turned into a collector, let's be real. They've just made it really hard to get the currency. But yeah. So, a lot of the recent mobile games I've tried out from people begging me to try them, like my friends going, you need to try it, you gotta try it, it's really good, join us. And I try, and it's just like, this feels like people are just taking steps back. Right? I look at games that are coming out nowadays, and it's just like, why can I not just pick one of the characters I wanted to start the game with? Like, do you know how easy it is to hook players into staying with your game? You know what? Here's a great idea. Give players 2 options. You either get to pick your starting SSR unit, or you get 2 multi-rolls worth of your premium currency. There you go. Like, there you go. I can guarantee you, a lot of people will take the currency over the characters because they want to save up for a limited power crept unit that's possibly coming down the line later. And they look at the long-term picture of things. Some people, like myself, just want to have a character they really like to start off with so that they can play the game and have fun doing it at the beginning. And you know what? Hell, I'll work my ass off to get the extra gacha currency. I don't care. It costs the company nothing. It's all fake digital currencies and stuff. It costs them literally nothing. You may, oh, well, you lost profits. I'll tell you right now, you're going to lose a lot more profits by people not playing your game because you're a stingy little fucking that wants them to just re-roll for 12 hours straight. I hate to break it to you. Next is from Korea. I knew they'd monetize it to high heaven and still hate seeing it. The thing is, though, there has to be a line drawn when it comes to monetization, and the fact people still haven't caught that yet is just boggling to me. PGR is from China, Taiwan. Unless I'm mistaken, PGR is China. Should be China. And then it got a Taiwanese server, a Japanese server, Korean server, and then a global server. Not in that order, though. Global came last, Japan came before that, then Korea. Anyways, yeah, no, PGR is Chinese. I'm almost 100% sure it's Chinese. Anyhow, with that, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. For realsies this time, I swearsies. Yeah, peace out. For people that are here for the FGO thing, I'll see you in a couple hours from now, probably. And for anyone that was here for just Gundam, I will see all of you in a couple of weeks from now, barring some kind of crazy drop happening. Peace out. See you guys in the next one.